My name's Barry Beckham. Welcome to this video. The subject here is the transform tools in Adobe Camera Raw. There are some images where the verticals and the horizontal lines both need our attention at the same time. Now this is probably best done in Adobe Camera Raw before we apply any other changes. So let's take a look. Here's an image that I shot in Sydney recently. I think this image needs a degree of symmetry. I think that center bar needs to be absolutely vertical, but the steps also have to be absolutely level. Now if I'm going to do that sort of thing, I'm going to turn to the transform tools. Now we'll find them up at the top left of the screen. There's the shortcut Shift T. But in a previous video I also was talking about options under the lens corrections, and we talked about chromatic aberration, and more importantly here enable profile corrections, because if we're going to start to adjust the verticals in the image, then I think we should be ticking this box at least to make a start. So if I go back up and pick up the transform tools, you'll see them all appear over on the right hand side. I've got a number of automatic settings here and a manual one and others below. Let's begin with the A. If I do a mouse over this, we can quickly read the tooltip. It says a balance perspective correction. Well, let's give it a try. Well, not so balanced for me, I'm afraid. I think perhaps there's too many straight lines here and the software is not quite doing what we'd like. But there's no damage done here. We're working in RAW. We can go back here and we can disable that automatic setting. Okay, let's look at applying something that's just going to deal with the levels. Again, it's having some difficulty given the nature of the image. So let's move away. Let's try the upright, see if it works better on them. And as you can see, we're not getting any closer to what we want. I have to say though that I've picked a particularly challenging image here, and many times you would have found a solution long before now. So finally, let's go back to the last one where it's going to do both the verticals and the levels, and no, we seem to be defeated. Well, not quite. Because over here I can select this option. Now I can draw a couple of lines. I can say to Photoshop, can you please make sure that that part is vertical, and can you make sure that the steps are vertical? And there we have our fix. Now we'll find a number of tools in Photoshop which are going to work in an automatic way, but if that fails we can turn to manual settings here. I mean, all of these settings are going to do much the same as these, and I'm not sure I need to go down each one of these, but if I just move this one to the left, you can see how we could manually change the perspective of the image, not forgetting of course double click any of these and they'll snap back into place. But of course we've got a pretty good result here using this option here. It's called the guided option. But I could also do something with the scale if I wanted to. So let me take you down to that, and if I just move this to the right, you can see exactly what it's doing. And I'm getting, I think, a little closer to the symmetrical look that I was hoping to achieve. And of course, once we're happy with that, we can go back to the Basic tab and continue with any manipulation we wish to make. Now here I have another image opened up into Camera Raw, which is going to give some of these automatic settings a challenge. Let's try the automatic. Better, but not perfect. Let's try the levels. Not too good. Verticals. A little better. We could always crop, or we could use the scale to bring the image up. And the last one, not a great change there. But if we go back to the one we used a few moments ago and select it, well, we could say to the software, look, it's quite important that this part in the middle is absolutely vertical, and maybe this part here is horizontal. So we have some pretty powerful tools here in the transform section. But of course, from time to time we want to change our mind. After looking at the image for a few moments, I'm not sure I like the columns on the left leaning in. So what I'm going to do is just click this one and hit delete to remove it. And then I can draw another one and say I've changed my mind. Let me have a look if you make that part vertical. And now you can see exactly the difference it makes to the image. And of course we could even move that to this one, or we could use the scale as I did before to just push that edge out to something like that. Now as you can see, I've opened up another image, and this is another which is going to give the automatic options along the top here a bit of a challenge. So let's turn our attention to the manual settings below. We do get a little icon here that gives us an idea of what this slider is going to do to the image. So if you look at the verticals down here, if I move my vertical slider to the right or the left, you can see how I can gradually straighten those up manually. So I've got those nice and straight. I've got a bit of a problem bottom right, bottom left, but I could do something about that with perhaps the aspect. I could stretch it out if I wanted to do that, or I could use the scale. But the aspect just brings it left and right, as you can see by the little icon there. But it's certainly a lot straighter than it was before, and of course we could then move on to any other corrections we would like to do. I've said during the making of these videos that I believe that the tools and techniques that we use need to be relevant to our needs, but they also need to be quick to use and practical. Well, I think the transform tools here are all of those things. Very powerful, practical, and very quick too. Let's finish off with one last example, but I am now drifting into just repeating myself, because here I'm going to choose this option on the right hand side, because here I think I need to tell the software exactly what I want. First thing is, the lamp's got to be vertical, so let's draw the line down the center, and I also want something else nice and straight in the picture, so I need this edge probably straight, but I may be able to use this one here, which is easier to see. So let me just click and drag. Watch the difference. Beautiful job. I hope you'll agree. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, but you have reached the end, so I'm going to assume you did. How could you not be enthralled by the powerful tools of Adobe Camera Raw, particularly the transform tools? Have you thought, by the way, of joining my photo and audio visual forum? You can get access to me and others who share your passion. You just sign up with an email and a password, and it's completely free. Come along and give us a try.